Boomhauer69 here, and today I'm going to do a video of what's in the cup. Now, this tape I got right here, that's just covering up a logo of this coffee mug. This is one of those double-walled coffee mugs, and what I did was I tried my hand at building a little survival kit, a little that you could go out in the woods and kind of survive on, a little mini survival kit. Now, this survival kit is something that you're not gonna just take with you out in the woods and be able to go and survive. No, it's not nothing like that. And so I went around my house and kind of see what I could add to it and stuff. And I'll talk about the things I would take out and add and what I do kind of differently as well. But this is one of those double-walled old coffee mugs here. And as you can see right here, I punctured a little hole in it because I like watching a lot of survival camping videos where people go out in the wilderness with a survival pack and try to do certain survival challenges. And one of the survivalist guys I watched, he showed how you can use one of these to boil water in a survival situation, and all you gotta do is puncture a small hole in like the first layer, because these are insulated, double walled, and like the first wall you just puncture a little hole. You don't puncture all the way through, or obviously you're gonna have leak and you're not gonna be able to boil water because it's just gonna leak right out. But what he did was, in the video, is he just put one little hole through the first layer to ventilate it so it don't blow up or ruin the cup when you're trying to boil water, and that's what you do. And I just took a drill and drilled a small little ventilation hole. And this has a lid on it. Now again, this right here is just covering up a logo here, this tape. So that's why I put that tape on there. You could wrap this in black electrical tape and use it, but just for video purposes, I just covered up the logo on this old cup. But as you can see right here is the lid to it. It's just one of those standard plastic lids. And the reason why I went with this, so this is your container. You always have, I learned that you have 5 C's. They call it the 5 C's of survival. You have cutting, container, cover. You have cutting, container, cover, cordage, and combustion, meaning ways to start a fire. And from my experience, I'm a beginner at all this stuff, and this is my first time trying to make a mini survival kit, basically. This covers all 5 C's. Like, for example, now, the only thing, like, for example, here's some cordage. This is the cordage I add. Now, this is just shoestrings, old shoestrings. Now, I just looked around at what I had around my house and to see what I come up with. Now, what I would do if I was to actually go out in the wilderness with this, I would obviously replace this with 550 paracord. I just added the shoestring for video purposes because I'm actually out of paracord. And what little bit of paracord I do got is in my other pack. And so I would swap this out for some 550 paracord and maybe some 32 bank line or some jute twine and paracord. Instead of having 2 things of shoestrings, I would go with 1 thing of paracord and 1 thing of some bank line. And then for fire starting, because I don't right now have any stormproof matches and on hand right now, I just threw in a thing of diamond strikeable matches, which I would obviously replace with some stormproof matches. And then this is a older Victorinox. It might even be a cheap knockoff Victorinox, but I can't remember because the logo is all rubbed off in it. But the only thing missing from this is the actual toothpick and tweezers. It's just an old one I found. And the reason why I add this to the kit here and stuff is because it's got different types of saws on it. It's got that right there, the different types of saws so you can cut and you have a knife to carve stuff, and then a little saw to cut up some little bit of fire tinder, a little bit of wood, And then you got also scissors, You got different types of scissors here. You got a screwdriver, a can opener, You got scissors, you got all sorts of stuff. You got a Phillips screwdriver and some different things over here as well, a corkscrew and different things, Just like normal folding saws, multi-tool saws have, And that's why I chose this. Because it's mainly for the knife and wood saw. That's why I went with that. And then I did a video about this, and I just threw in that survival Mylar solo solo, well, I call it solo space blanket. I'll put a link in the description for that. And then I also added some tin foil, aluminum foil. And this you could use as a reflector. Now this is what I use for the cover. And you could tie this to a tree, make your a little shelter tent, configuration and stuff. You could make it into an A-frame tent. You could use it as a blanket to shield. And then this is just aluminum foil that you can use to signal, you can reflective to get somebody's attention, or you can even make a little bowl and drink from it. But this right here is the cover. It's orange. I went with the orange, so that way you can also use this as a signal device. You can almost wear this. You could take the string and tie this around you, wear it kind of like a cape to gather people's attention if you're lost out in the wilderness. Now again, this kit right here is something you don't just take this with you out in the woods. You obviously would have a backpack and other stuff, and you would have this inside that backpack. And then here's one thing I'd add, what I would change out is I added a little flashlight. What I would do is, instead of this big clunky flashlight in there that's taking up way too much space, I would get like a maybe smaller flashlight for lighting, because there's out there obviously smaller flashlights, but this is all I had on hand was this little flashlight. And I would look into maybe a little keychain solar flashlight. I also seen on Amazon they also sell something similar like this, smaller but a little hand cranky keychain flashlight, and go with something like that. I would definitely look into some sort of rechargeable flashlight to put in the actual kit instead, because I think it's important to have some sort of lighting. Some people would say different otherwise, but. And then now for first aid, I just added in this kit here for first aid 2 band-aids. Now obviously I would add more band-aids to the kit and stuff, different size band-aids, but this is all I had on hand. And then I also added two clothespins. Now when it comes to adding these, I was thinking about more of like a fire tinder kind of, scrape them, use as fire tinder, or you could use them to maybe clamp down your shelter or what have. And then the final thing I added to this kit was the whistle. This is a survival whistle to also grab people's attention. It's got a lantern so you can put it on you. Now it's also got in here a little compass. This is just a little basic compass. It does work. And this is a little Stanport whistle. You can see right there, made by Stanport. And this is the little other cordage lantern. One thing I don't know if you could do that hole, that's where you loop your cordage through. I don't know if that would be big enough hole to stick some paracord through, but probably not. And then it's also on here got one of those little strikers to strike, One thing I would add to this kit that I don't have on hand is a ferro rod and striker. I would add a small ferro rod striker, something better than this little rinky-dinky thing. But also on the inside of this, once you remove this little lid, this is a little compartment inside. It has a signaling mirror, so you can also grab people's attention. That's why I added it. And then I added to it a little fishing kit with some hooks and sinkers. And there's some actual inside here. I'm not going to pull this stuff out because it'd be hard to get it back in there. But it's got some fishing line in there. And it's also got some cheapy stormproof matches. They're those little, not the UCO ones, but they're the Conklin little cheapy stormproof matches in there and stuff. And this is waterproof. It's got the little ring around it so it protects your stuff. And in here I just added a few of this, again, the stormproof matches and some fishing line and sinkers and stuff to catch a fish if you're near the water. A little mini fishing kit is what I add in here. Now, a thing I would add in here, which I don't have on hand, is some water purification tablets. If I would add a few packets of water purification tablets, I would swap this out and get a smaller, like I said before, flashlight. And I would keep this in here because it's got a lot of... I would replace it with a newer Victorian knots like Huntsman, like I have in my other pack. But I would definitely add another next to it. Maybe add another one similar to this, but maybe a Victorian knots Huntsman, and that has all the tweezers and picks and everything. And here's another thing I would, in a pinch, if I didn't want to have one of these in here, I would go with one of these basic little box cutter knives too. I'd probably, if I could, add that in there. But basically, the things I can think of right offhand that I would add to this, and I'd maybe some little glow sticks too, but one thing is I would add some water purification tablets to this, which I don't have on hand. Some more variety of band-aids, and maybe some tablets, some aspirins or something to help, and maybe some sort of antibiotics, off the shelf, over the counter, or whatever you want to call it. Some medications, maybe, that would be good in a survival situation for first aid. I don't know a whole lot about first aid. I don't know nothing about first aid, so what I'd probably do is just add some more different size band-aids. I just added, for bandages around, I just add what I think, I just added what I had. I'd obviously get a variety pack of band-aids and throw a few in them. And then in this kit, I would also add a Molina coffee filter. There was a Molina Matilda coffee filters, to filter out water, chewing stuff. And water purification tablets as well, like I said before. And basically that's about all I would add to the kit. I can't right now offhand think of anything else I would add to this kit, but this is my first time just trying to see what I could come up with and make into a mini survival kit. And again, I would definitely add different cordage. I just, for video purposes, threw in these old shoestrings for cordage, but I would definitely add different cordage. Like I would add some 550 paracord and some little bank line string in it, and that's about it. I say, there's all kinds of stuff you could add to this. Like I'd also some zip ties as well, a few those reusable zip ties, because those would be handy in some situations, and maybe add some maybe a little cookie ration bar, one of those SOS little ration bars, or maybe some hard candy and maybe a couple packets of that instant coffee or tea or something to kind of help, in a survival situation to keep warm and stuff. But this is basically all I would is kind of what I would add. You know, this for the cover, this for cover and cordage, this for the cover and the cordage, and definitely a newer style knife with all the stuff with it. This is just something, an old knife that I had that I thought I'd just throw in for video purposes. Now a lot of this stuff is just for video purposes. Again, if I was going to actually make a good survival kit, I would obviously get online and buy stuff and replace some of this and put different quality stuff in there. I just thought I'd try to see what I could come up with the stuff I had around the house right now and then do a little talk video about it, because this is actually my first time building a little mini survival kit, and I just wanted to see if I could do it and then show you people what I add. So for all you people out there that are starting out and doing this sort of stuff, to see what, and maybe help somebody out there get some ideas and stuff, you know, and yeah. Then also, here's another little tin thingy that you could potentially use as a survival kit, build a mini survival kit. Now this little kit I built here, this is something you would obviously throw in a backpack with some other gear and stuff. You wouldn't just use this just all by itself, because you would probably most likely wouldn't survive out in the wilderness. But this is just one of those emergencies, you know, when the going gets tough, when you're out in the wilderness and get lost and this is all you have. This is your dire need to survive on and to try to get you through until you can get some help and stuff. But yeah, and that's one thing. The aluminum foil, I saw other survival videos where they talked about how this is handy, and I'd agree with them. You know, you can use it to reflect, use it as a signaling device, or to make you a little bowl and cook some food and stuff. But yeah, one thing you could also do in a kit like this is I would also add some water bags too, a couple water bags, and you could also add, if you had a little bit of freeze dried food, you could almost do maybe a little, you know, make you up a little small mini thing of freeze dried food. If you're, you know, they sell that where you can buy freeze dried ingredients and make your own little meal. So you could potentially, even in this, with the amount of room, there's how big the cup is, you know, you could potentially add a little bit of freeze dried food in there, maybe a small little thing of rice or something. You know, there's a lot of things you can add to this kit and stuff to help you along, you know. Maybe I'd also, maybe some snare wire too, maybe some stuff, or to help build like a little trap to maybe catch some wildlife, you know. That's why I added a little fishing kit to this, so in a pinch you could try to, if you're near some water, try to catch a fish, you know. Because there's some hooks and sinkers in here, and all you would have to do is take your hand and dig up a worm and find a worm and stuff. So yeah. Well, we'll see if we can put this all back in here. Put the blanket back in there. Put that in here. And again, I would definitely get a smaller flashlight. I wouldn't, if I was going to use this. But I just did this again for video purpose to see if I could actually, see what I could come up with. Take this out here. And there you have it. That, you know. So yeah, there you have it. Fits all in there. Lid's nice and tight, you know. And this too has also got a little slider where you can close and zip it, you know. Yeah. And I know after I make this video and upload it, I'll be thinking, why didn't I mention about this or that or the other? Because there's a ton of stuff you can put in here, but yeah. This is just my first attempt at trying to make like a little mini survival kit. So comment below your thoughts on this video and what you think and stuff. And if you like this sort of content, subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be doing more of this content and other content as well. So check out my other videos on my channel as well. You might find something else that you find interesting. And hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching.